podcast, Rugby fans. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata. And, I always mention him in our videos. If you've never met him, man, he is just a lot of great positive energy, especially when it comes to a sport that we both love about rugby. I call him Coop. I don't know if that's necessarily a nickname that he likes to have, but I'd love to introduce to you guys a very good friend of mine to the podcast, Chad Cooper. Chad, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, brother. I really appreciate you, Josh, you having me on, man. And I've been like really kind of barking at you about wanting to do one of these with you because I just know that as a rugby fan, I love your style and I love all the work you're doing. So it's a total privilege to be on here with you, bro.
Oh no, privilege is all mine because again, I don't know if you remember when we first met, and that was back in the Guiltini's days. You were one of the first to come up to me and just say, "Hey, I love what you do. I'm a big fan," and just it, you know, I just felt that the fact that you wanted to take the time out of your day to talk to me and the positivity, like I said, that you had, it really, as a person that creates content, to have somebody compliment the hard work because I don't want to toot my own horn too much, but there's a lot that goes behind with what we do, right? And the
Right.
fact that you're acknowledging and that you're very appreciative of it, and everybody is, but just you were the first one to do it. And it really just made me feel like, wow, like all the work is just well worth it just because, it is just one person, but just the fact you did it it really made me feel great. And we've been friends ever since then. And you've always been so supportive of rugby, especially here in LA. And yeah, so I'm so happy to be able to bring you and expand you out to the world because I always talk about
Thanks,
you,
man.
but nobody really knows you yet. So we'll have a little bit of that.
Absolutely. I'll probably shock people. I'm a lot more handsome than people think when you're in the videos.
There you go. Now,
But I love it, dude.
oh,
I
thank
love
you,
your
brother.
energy,
Thank
man.
you,
It's the
brother.
best,
Thank you,
dude.
brother. Now, so let's go into that. So, real quick, because we just talked about this, we kind of don't know exactly how both of us came into the world of rugby. I'll go
Yeah.
after you, but tell me, Jet, how did you,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're born and raised here in America?
Yes. Born and
Okay.
raised in Indiana.
Oh, there you go. How did
Yeah.
you get into rugby?
It was 2015, and I just massive NFL fan. I
Right.
just kinda got disenfranchised with the NFL. I mean, I
Mhm,
went to the Super Bowl and the Colts lost against the Saints, and we grew I
mhm.
had season seats, to the Colts
Oh,
every Sunday.
wow.
I lived in Arizona, lived in LA, lived
Mhm,
overseas. I
mhm.
did everything I could to watch every Colts game on a Sunday.
Wow.
And I just got so into it, and people would be like, "Dude, are you betting on the game?" I'm like, "No." And it's different because you're from LA, right?
Right, right,
Yeah.
right.
So when you're from Indiana and like the Colts play and you have a team and you live in a different city,
Sure.
it's a
I get it.
totally different
I
thing.
get
And
it. I
so,
get that. I get that. I totally get that. I actually, not to interrupt you, but I have
yeah.
a client who's from Cleveland.
Okay.
So for him, it's all Browns.
All
All
right.
like when the Browns play, that whole city just shuts down. It's all about the Browns. So I get that.
Right.
I totally get that.
Right. I can't even imagine just like the losses that guy has to go through
Oh,
being a Browns fan.
it's funny because we talk
Oh,
about it. His brother is more of a diehard fan. And
yeah.
it's funny because he always tells me it's the same cycle. Beginning of the season, his brother's texting him nonstop. This is our year. This is our year.
Right.
Then as the season starts to progress, the texts come less and less and less. So
And their quarterback, Shador Sanders, just got arrested. Or not arrested. He got pulled over for the second time for speeding in
right.
2 months.
Apparently, this
2
isn't the
months ago.
first time. This isn't the first time, right?
Dude, I mean, that's just a curse. But 2015, I got into rugby league and rugby union. I'm a
Right.
lover of both codes.
Right.
And what it was for me was it was the 2015 World Cup.
Mm,
And I know they were playing a couple games, that game against Scotland. And
mhm.
then I really didn't understand the rules so much, but I love the physicality of it. I just, I soon to fall in love with the sport and how much I
Sure.
love rugby. Like I
Mhm.
got a rugby ball at my work right now. Everybody always comments on it. It's always
Sure.
like, dude, is that a rugby ball? They go, dude, those guys are crazy. And I
Mhm.
play with it a little bit. I'm like, yeah, you know what it is. But I've never had one person look at me and go, dude, that game sucks. They
Right.
may go, I don't understand it,
Right.
or God, they're hard, they're
Right.
nuts, they're like, but I had a couple people go, You know what? I was watching on Peacock, the Six Nations, and
Mhm.
I didn't really understand, but never anyone's ever been like, "Oh, that sucks." You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
And I always kind of preface it by saying, "You know what? Well, rugby is the daddy of football.
Yeah,
American
yeah,
football came from rugby,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
What's his name? Walter Camp. He's
Mhm.
the one that changed the rules from Yale. So I kind of
Right.
like give him a little bit of it to say, hey, we're family. Like
Mhm.
we're descendants of the same tree.
Right.
And but yeah, that's how I got into it. And it
Got
was
it.
the US. And then a couple years later when MLR came, I'm always a big American rugby fan, and I
Sure.
love Sale Sharks. And I watched the premiership this past weekend against Leicester against Bath. I
Mm,
watched some of the URC. I watched Super Rugby. I
mhm.
watched everything, dude.
You do, you
Nothing,
do, you do.
but nothing, and I mean nothing compares to Major League Rugby for me.
Sure,
And
sure, sure.
I'm a huge league fan,
Yes,
but
you are.
no league, nothing compares to MLR for me.
There you go, there you go.
I love the locality of it. I love the lads, dude.
Mhm.
You're a witness. They're all such good guys,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And dude, I could go on for another. I just remember one time, coming out to a game and somebody was like, "Hey, man, thank you for coming out and supporting us." And I'm like, "Man, you don't get that much." And then one other thing I was gonna say,
Sure.
Declan Haney,
Yeah,
I hope his ACL is okay. A couple
yeah.
games ago, we were watching it, and I was watching the game, and someone pulled his shorts down, dude, and like his bare ass was showing out.
Sure,
And
sure.
so I was like, "Bro, was that your ass in the thing?" And he wasn't sure. So I had a picture of me pointing to his ass, and he's laughing. Come on, dude. Like rugby guys, they're just so chilled out, man.
They're very
They're
cool.
such like good people,
Yeah,
good stock. I mean, and it's very rare. I mean, that you see them doing kind of nutty stuff, and I do
sure.
appreciate that being a father and being
Mhm.
52 years old. So that's it. I love the physicality of it, dude. My attention span is just gone. When sometimes I'll go to my local cigar shop and I'll
Mhm.
have cigars, and then I'll put on rugby, and
Mm.
God, a bunch of guys will be like, "Dude, what's going on?" And I kind of explain to them, and I just explain to them, dude, it's a rugby is for like NFL fans who have ADHD.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
I'll be watching the game 15 minutes in, and I'll be like, "Have you noticed like how many times have they stopped the game to sell you stuff?" He
Right,
goes, "They don't."
right.
So I
Yeah.
could talk forever. Talk
No,
about
no,
you, man.
no.
How did you get into it?
Honestly, you bring up so many great points about how I feel rugby can make that transition in America, right?
Right,
Because I think the key point, like you said, is you've never met a person who's watched the rugby game and walked away going, "Yeah, I didn't like it. I wasn't happy
right,
with it." Right? I mean,
right.
again, you'll have a lot of people go, I really enjoyed it. I may not have understood exactly what was happening, but
Yeah,
almost everybody, it's always like, "Hey, that was a lot of fun. That was a fun
right.
game." And like you said, people don't realize that rugby does come from football. Or I'm sorry, football. American football comes from rugby. So
Yeah.
the transition to being a fan of rugby, especially if you're a college football fan, American football fan, should not be that far because it is practically the same sport. You know,
Yeah.
come from
It
the same history. So for my background, it's actually almost very similar to yours. Growing up, I've always been kind of intrigued by rugby, but again, like most people, kind of start watching it, then you're like, what is going on? And at first, very, very overwhelming. Then I think around maybe the same time as you, 2015, I just happened to catch sevens rugby. And all of a sudden, because sevens, like I always explain to people when I talk about sevens, I feel it's an easier gateway to get into rugby because there's less people on the pitch and you can kind of see how things develop and how penalties are formed because you can see what's actually happening. There's less people to have to keep track of. So, and then of course, if you're talking about ADHD, man, sevens, I tell people, good Lord, you don't have to worry
Yeah, it
about
is.
you don't have to worry about long attention span. Seven
Yeah.
minutes, you're good.
And we're decent.
And there exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
I mean, having
So,
a decent team, Perry Baker, Thomason,
and that's when I got in. I
Harlan
got into that.
Isles.
Right. I got Matt Hughes. I got into that at that point. And that's where it really took off from there. And then a couple years later, it wasn't the 15 World Cup because it was already passed, but then the 19 World Cup in
Man,
Japan. That's when I started really
huge.
getting into. Go ahead.
No, it was huge.
It
I'm
was
just
huge.
saying
It
it was
was huge.
huge.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just got really into it, and then of course finding out, hey, Major League Rugby, there might be a team here in LA, and that was it. And as
Yeah.
you know, became a huge Giltinis fan. Started to figure out, hey, you know what? Maybe this YouTube thing might work a little bit. It was
Yeah.
something, a way to kind of get my fandom going, but also try to help spread the word to a larger audience.
Yeah.
And the rest is history. Like I said, we met at a Giltinis game. We've been
Mhm.
friends ever since. I'll admit I'm not as involved with league as you are,
Right.
but you sent me a bunch of league videos, and I've watched them. And hey, again, I didn't watch any of those games and go, man, I can't watch this. I was just as enthralled with it. I mean, rugby's rugby. So
Right.
and like you,
Yeah.
especially during COVID, I started watching URC, Premiership, Top 12, Japan One League. I was watching everything just like you. So
Yeah.
I mean, as Super Rugby, Pacifica, I got into everything, and just, yeah, I haven't looked back. So I'm the same as you with that.
You remember that peacock, right? Do you
Yeah.
remember? Did you buy the package?
Yes, I did. I did. And then
$200, dude.
I know,
Remember
I
that?
was like, you know what?
I paid it. I'm
I
like,
paid it too.
whatever.
I paid it too.
Yeah.
Though I'm happy that it ended up not being a thing, because the next year I was thinking in my head, going, man, I don't know if I could do it again though. But
But
at
they did
least,
have a deal. It was like that plus like $75 and you got the premiere
or something like that.
DVD.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but I got up at
I
like
mean,
3:50, 3:30 in the morning and watched the US just get pounded by England.
yeah,
I was
but
like,
again, the point was, for me,
yeah,
was just the fact that you could watch a lot of things.
yeah.
That was what I was happy about. But yeah,
Oh, I agree.
I,
And
I
we
I'm
did
glad.
okay. We were up by like we were winning against France in like the 65th minute, which was
Sure,
insane. And then we
sure.
were winning against Tonga. I mean, that team, they did
They
okay.
did okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially considering, again, and we'll talk about this, where rugby was at that point to where we are now. I mean, and again, I feel that that's where, everyone says USA is a sleeping giant, because there's always been potential. It's just, it's never really been focused on until, I feel, now. And again, we'll talk about that more
Oh
as we
yeah.
talk about Major League Rugby in general. So,
One of the top 10 worst days of my life was that game after Portugal.
oh yeah, I know.
Oh,
I think
dude.
that's everybody,
I
brother. I
couldn't
think
even
that's everybody.
talk. I made a video. It was so emotional, and it was
Sure.
just drained me.
Sure, I feel you. I feel you. So let's start talking about Major League Rugby first. Obviously, we know it was a great season for us. I'm going to bring out the whiteboard and let me know, Coop, if you can't see things.
Oh, I could see it. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so
Wow.
let's talk about this. So it was a great season. It was a great year. Both Coop and myself are huge RFCLA fans. So I feel, and we don't have to talk about every team, but we can kind of generalize a little bit.
Sure.
Obviously, I feel both of us are very happy to see RFCLA finishing third place
Yes.
comparatively to last year, where we missed out on the playoffs.
Yeah.
But besides RCLA, looking at how things wound up in the Western Conference, and we're not going to talk about the postseason. There's a reason for it, but we won't go into that. Why Coop doesn't want to talk about the postseason. But
Julie GW, and sorry, I'm looking at you.
but let's talk about how things stood before we got into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Did anything surprise you? Were you surprised to see Utah at top? Or, I mean,
Dude,
go ahead.
insane. Utah, number one.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. You know, they let a lot of people go. Mika Cruz last year, they
Mm-hmm.
let a lot of people go and cleaned house. And wow, I'm just so impressed by that organization and what they've
Right.
done. Is
Mm-hmm.
it John Cooper still the coach, right?
Greg Cooper, yes. Yeah.
Greg Cooper, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Cooper, John Cooper. Greg Cooper's the coach. It was kind of wishy-washy last year. I think they were dead last behind us,
Yeah.
obviously. But
Yeah.
their ascension into number one, I've been so impressed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And that stadium and that view, and that's a cauldron of a great place to watch rugby. And that's on my bucket list of my life.
Same
Is
here.
I'm going to watch
Same
again
here.
in Utah. Yeah.
Same here. Honestly, I don't feel, because obviously you watch European rugby and everything, and we know
A
about
lot
Twickenham.
less than MLR, though, just to be fair.
Right, right, right,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
But again, you're familiar with some of the the stadiums of rugby, like Twickenham. You know these places and how iconic they are.
Yeah.
I feel that Zion Stadium, just because of the view itself, is pretty iconic. Like it,
Oh, it's insane. Like Bath they just won it. And in
yeah.
the background of Bath, they have this like old world feel.
Hmm.
But those mountains,
Hmm.
oh, bro. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't get any better than that. I
Right.
mean, it's a phenomenal place to watch it.
Right. So we talked about Utah being on top.
Yeah.
Obviously, I feel you're probably just as surprised as me to see San Diego end up being the team, especially considering they were the last team to be undefeated and then end up missing, but by barely. I mean, they just came up short, but they end up missing out on the postseason.
Dude. I mean, they had a complete downfall. And
Yeah.
I was really pretty shocked by that. Remember, I mean, I went to see our boys against them in San Diego, and I think I either texted you or I texted somebody and was like, I don't know if they're going to be if anybody's going to be able to stop them. And they,
Yeah, I do remember that. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's, honestly, I've talked about this with other rugby fans online. The not, not picking on San Diego, but the decline and just the weird, like they started off 5-0, then they rapidly lost five in a row with very little, like nothing you can really say. Like there were not a lot of injuries. There were not like a
no,
lot of weird changes. It just, for whatever reason, things just did not work. So I feel
um,
that's going to be something that's really going to have to be studied on by the coaching staff in the offseason, because it's just weird how that turned out.
yeah. It's funny too because they had chasing the shield, or I forget what was the name of it. Remember?
Oh, the little series, that little
Yeah, the
series.
series, of
Yeah.
which I paid $20 for, and,
Yeah.
I totally talked to the owner. I can't think of his name now, I'm sorry, but I just walked to him, and I hope everybody just paid the $20 to watch it because it's so great and it supports MLR, and there's
Mhm.
just a part in there that he gets really real, and I saw him after our first practice of the year, you know what I mean, when they came up here, and I
Yeah.
told him, and he goes, "Dude, yeah," he's like, "Yeah, that's just the way it is," you know?
Mhm.
So I do feel bad for San Diego. I know they put a lot of money into it.
Sure.
Thank God they're Torero now because
Mhm.
Snapdragon was not a good place to watch rugby. Torero is
Really?
a perfect place.
What was Snapdragons? I've never been there. You have.
Yeah.
Was it just too big?
It was too big. You were too far away from the field. It was just too big. With Torero, you're right on top.
Sure.
And it's a lot more cozier. It's
Got
just a
it.
way better. And I think part of it too is because when I first got into MLR, I liked the San Diego Legion. We didn't have a team, you know. I
Mhm.
bought like a kit. I used to
Sure.
go down there and drive. I used to drive down there a lot, watch a few
Mhm.
games,
Mhm.
and so I had a soft spot in my heart for San Diego, you know.
Got it.
But the first time that I was walking, my wife went to USD, and the first time I was walking up the hill and I looked down and saw the goalpost, oh,
Mhm.
dude, I was so emotional. I'm like, I'm about to watch Rugby in America, and the
Sure.
goalpost and the paintings. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I just couldn't breathe. I was like, I'm about to cry. It was close, dude.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. So we're gonna hold off on speaking on RFCLA for
Okay.
right now. We'll come back to them, but let's go to the East now.
Yeah.
And obviously, there's going to be a team we're going to be talking about extensively. But again, let's kind of gloss over. Um, though they kind of started a little touch and go, the two-time reigning defending MLR champions, New England Free Jacks, they finished on top. Surprise, surprise, and are possibly on their way to being the very first three-time MLR champions. But right behind them, the Chicago Hounds, Oh Glory, and then I think the shocking one, well, maybe not the shocking one, because Miami actually had a pretty good season last season. But
Total shocker.
in just their second season, the Miami Sharks are able to clinch a playoff spot, albeit the last one. But man, for a while, they were looking like the dangerous team going into the playoffs.
You know, I always kind of felt like they always played really well away from home.
Mm.
They always took a couple scalps. I mean, they just lost, I think, but it was just by 7 points against New England. And wasn't it up there that they lost? I want to say
Yeah,
maybe.
they went to New England. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about that New England Miami thing, but you know, Miami, they're not afraid to punch it up away. Even when we played at Fullerton, was it, or somewhere in Orange County,
Yeah.
it was close to the end. You know.
Oh, it was dangerously close. I mean, that game, Coop. I don't know if you know, but I have a habit of never sitting down when I'm doing
Yeah.
the announcing. And
Yeah.
I was literally almost jumping out of the window of our PA because I mean, it was just good Lord. It was so dangerously close in that game. It was a great game, though.
Oh,
It was a
I
really
mean,
great.
Argentina light, man. I mean,
Yeah,
first
no,
of all, as an American fan, I'm going to say North and South American. I'm
sure.
so like impressed by Argentina and the fact that they're like this kind of nation where it's not that big and yet they go and they just battle. I just love it, dude. So
Mhm.
having some of those boys come over here and play, oh, dude, I love it, dude. Gonzalo,
Oh, he's great. He's great.
phenomenal.
He's magic on the field. He's magic
Yeah,
on the pitch. So
yeah,
actually, this is a good time. Let's talk about that. So I know it's a point of contention with some people, and I know that you obviously want to put your 2 cents on it.
yeah,
But there's always been this argument with MLR, which
yeah,
granted is still it's only in its 8th year, and some
yeah.
people might think 8 years that's a lot. Well, you compare that to the Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA. Eight years is like nothing. It's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah.
So obviously, and rugby isn't exactly the most popular sport. So obviously, to fill some of these rosters, we do have to have some foreign players. And as you mentioned, Miami is, quote unquote Argentina lights because
Yeah.
we do have a lot of Argentinian players there.
And I have no problem with that. I'm just saying, yeah.
And I don't either. I feel like you said, it's nice to see this level of competition because a country like Argentina, we
Yeah.
talk about Six Nations, but we also have the Southern Hemisphere Championship
Yeah.
with Australia, New Zealand, Argentina, and no, I'm sorry, New Zealand, Argentina,
South
Australia.
Africa.
There
South
you go.
Africa. Yeah.
Yep. And Argentina has a great opportunity every year to play some of the best nations in the country. And those players then also get to play in America with Major League Rugby. And that their level of talent, they raise up the talent in Major League Rugby. So I feel having foreign players is not a bad thing. If anything, it makes
Mm.
everybody around them get better. You just mentioned Gonzalo Butrano for RFCLA. You don't think that guys like Taz Smith and Matt Antisef, some of our younger players, aren't learning from a guy like Gonzalo? Come on.
Oh, absolutely. In Argentina, by the way, beat all three of those teams last year for the first time.
There you
And they
go.
don't have a huge lead. They got the Jugadores or whatever, and like
Mm-hmm.
one other team. I forget the Pampas or Tampas or something. So
Yeah,
they don't
something
have
like
a huge domestic league, but they seem to put it together, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
my feeling on it and is that I don't care where the players come from. I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would like to see the American players get better, but I think it's going to happen through osmosis. I
Sure.
think what'll happen is because we just don't have that pool of a player that we can get him, but we have like a Peyton Walls, right? He
Right.
plays for Chicago, who's
Mhm.
from Indiana, from Fort Wayne, right?
Okay, yeah.
Noah Brown, right?
Yes.
So we have
Very
some of these
talented.
guys. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to learn from some of those veterans over in Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they're going to have that good leadership. And
Mm-hmm.
guess what, man? As the league gets better to grow, and people are like, "But I want to work in an insurance job or do some kind of bullshit." Or no, I'd rather play rugby, even if I don't get paid that much money. But
Sure.
I want the camaraderie. That's
Mm-hmm.
what. When you watch all these podcasts, and I watch way too many, dude. They talk
Sure.
about when they get done and retire. That's what they miss, man. They miss the
Yeah.
brotherhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everything takes care of itself. But like trying to get these Americans in to play and learn from a Gonzalo, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Learn from a Billy Meeks. That's
Mm-hmm.
only going to make everybody better, you know? So I'm
Exactly.
totally for it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like crap. I don't give a crap if
It's
it's
all right.
foreign or
It's all right.
not.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that as well. Now, on the flip side, we talked about a team that we quote unquote call Argentina light. Let's now
Right.
talk about the team that basically, technically, is supposed to be the future Eagles of America. And that's, of course, Anthem RC, which unfortunately, uh, winless this season, second season in a row. They unfortunately have the streak, the longest losing streak in MLR history, 32 games without a win. But, Coop, honestly, there is some positivity in this season, I feel. There are a lot of close games. And again, a lot of these players are still relatively new to the game. They're getting used to the camaraderie and the team workmanship that they have to work together. So I feel it's something that will take time to see this team grow. Though I do hope, obviously, like you, it gets better sooner than later.
Yeah, I mean, they got Mitch Wilson. I mean, they got Sam Gala over there.
Yeah,
I
Tom
mean,
Gall's totally talented.
they got quite a few players. I just really hope that, if you're a veteran and you're thinking about going there, maybe an AJ McGinty or something. I
Mm,
really hope they don't look at that situation and think, just I'm going to lose all the time. I
right.
don't know. I don't know if that's really the rugby mentality, but a lot of like NFL players are like, I want a ring. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think a lot of these like foreign players that come from other leagues are always good about wanting to like train people, and I think that's good.
Yeah.
So, but back to Anthem. I mean, again, they're getting really close.
Yeah.
But I said it last year. I thought they would have won at least 2 or 3 times this year, and it just hasn't
I
happened.
totally predicted from them from two. Originally, I was going to say two, and then I thought four, and then yeah, as the season started progressing, I was like, oh boy, I don't even know two, and then yeah,
But World Rugby is financing them, I believe, right?
yes, World
Yeah,
Rugby has a. I don't know exactly how they're
yeah,
financing, but that is what the blurb is that they are partly financing this with
yeah.
USA Rugby to make sure that this team grows. Because again, I feel World Rugby understands that the money is in the USA. That's why we're having the Rugby World Cup in 31 and 33 for the women. That's why we're really pushing for this investment of possibly, not only having all these games in the United States with USA versus other teams like England, we're going to be playing in a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
but also too having maybe a Six Nations game here in the United States, maybe a British Irish Alliance tour coming over to the United States because they know that there is money here, untapped money that they could possibly build, but you need to have a competent USA team for that to grow even more.
I
So,
told you what my concept is: the
sure.
British and Irish Lions
Mm-hmm.
against the North American All Stars, dude.
Yeah,
Get some
yeah. No,
Canadian, Mexican players, and then the
yeah, let's do
U.S.
it.
players,
Let's
and
do
we're
it.
all just standing there going, "Come on, England, get their asses!"
Let's do it. Let's do it. I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea because again, I feel we mentioned about with South America with Argentina. I feel that just raises things. If we have North America, even South America added into it, it
Oh,
just
maybe we should have the yeah. Maybe we need Argentina's help, dude.
it just raises everything. It just makes
Right,
that experience for the player, for the USA players, it just gets them even higher,
right.
because they're learning from people that do have that experience, a little bit more of that rugby background,
Yeah,
so it helps with everybody. So,
for
all
sure.
right, now let's get back to RFCLA. So, again, like I mentioned before, Coop and I, huge RFCLA fans. Uh, honestly, this was a great season for us, despite the finish in the playoffs. But still, coming from where we were at the beginning of where we were at the end of last season to where we are this season, far vast improvement, right, Coop?
Way better improvement. Way better improvement. It's just I think we were a little bit clunky in the beginning,
Right.
and you know what it was, dude?
Hmm.
We just didn't get Reese quick enough.
Oh, dude, I don't. You saw the playoff game, right? With
Yeah.
Gonzalo kicking the pass to Greece and just, woo, that was a beautiful try.
Well, I saw Reese one time at the game, and I walked to him. I walked up to him, and I'm like, "Dude, I cannot believe you're here right now, and I just
Yeah,
want you to know your move over here is huge, dude. I want you to know people know what's going on." He's like, "Oh, thanks," you know what I mean? And then I
and
was
you
like,
mentioned
"Bro, with you, we're gonna win an MLR Cup, dude, for sure."
I totally believe it. I totally believe it. Obviously not this year, but definitely we could see one in the future. But as you mentioned before, too, another guy, Reese, a class act.
Oh
Class
yeah,
act. Nicest dude in the world.
yeah. And the way he plays, dude, it was
Yeah,
just like
amazing.
it's so fun to watch, man.
Yeah,
You
amazing.
know? That
So
one try where he scored against us and he ran the length of the field and then touched it down. I'm like, oh, dude, that's hustle, bro.
yeah, yeah. No, he's amazing. And again, I feel you're absolutely right. I think the first half of the season, it was just the team trying to find themselves. And again, people have to remember we started with a whole new coaching staff,
Yeah,
technically almost a whole new team because we got rid of a lot of players,
yeah,
and we brought in a lot of new young talent, and we'll get into some of that young talent because I want to highlight a couple of them because I
yeah,
feel they are future superstars in the making. Um,
yeah.
but I feel that first half, unfortunately, was kind of our way of figuring things out. And then
Yeah.
second half was us showing, hey, this is us. And it was great. I mean, we had a shot at being number one. We could have finished first
Yeah.
place, you know? I mean, that's amazing for a team that just looked really, no offense to RFCLA, but looked really lost last season. Like it
Very
just,
much so, man.
yeah, it just looked like
Yeah.
man, we just looked like we kind of, I don't want to say we gave up, but we just looked very lost. Like
Yeah.
we're just like, we don't know what's going on with this
And
team.
and you and I are always texting each other, and it's like it boiled down to our forwards, dude. I know
Yeah.
every team gets hurt, but our forwards just took a beating, and then we
Yeah.
were
We had the
pulling
unfortunate.
guys out of. I think
Yeah.
that one guy, I can't think of his name, the one, he's a teacher, right?
Which one?
One of
Cronin, Declan,
No, the ones
Xander.
I can't. God, I'm so bad. One of our props is a teacher. I think he's a teacher at
Okay.
Longview. Can't think of his name.
No
Polynesian guy.
worries.
I can't think of it. Anyways, but
No
I
worries.
mean, I think if I believe, I think he came from Belmont Shore, and
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah,
Justice Savai. Justice
so
Savai.
that's it with the long
Yes.
hair.
Yes.
Yeah, Savai. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. He's
I mean,
great.
he did a great job, dude.
He
He
did an
walked right
amazing
into it,
job.
and
He
being a
did an
prop's
amazing.
not easy, man, especially the
Yeah.
scrummaging part.
Yeah, no, he looked great. Like, I don't know the reason why he ended up not playing so much after that. Maybe he got hurt too. I don't know. But man, for the couple of games that he was in, he was great. And
Yeah.
you want to talk about this a little bit later, but we'll talk
Okay.
about crossover players. But Justice Savai is a crossover player. He started with football.
Oh, okay.
His whole family played football. He has like five brothers. One of them played for SC. I know this because I went to SC, but
Okay.
they're all football players, but they also played rugby as well. So I mean, it's very talented guy. So, but yeah, RFCLA, we had a great year. I feel honestly, if we can keep the core group together, and everyone kind of stays healthy, or at least comes into the season healthy. I feel next year we can easily be fighting for first place, 2 wins or so. I mean, it'll almost get to the point where I'll be honest with you, Coop. I would feel like if we missed the playoffs, it'd be a real disappointing season.
Yeah, especially like with how it turned out today. There's no going back.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited with it. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
this Western Conference. Look, I mean, like we're like 10 points away. I mean, look
Mhm,
from Utah to San Diego. I mean,
mhm,
think about this because
mhm.
I'm an MLR nut and so are you. Like if
Yeah.
I would have said to you before the season, by the way, San Diego's going to finish last and Utah would be number one, you'd be like, dude,
No, no.
insane.
My way too early predictions on how things were going to finish. I had Utah last. I had Utah
Yeah.
dead last.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Everybody just kind of blew them off and they're
yeah,
rebuilding and it's a brand
yep,
new. Yeah.
yep. But man, and we'll talk about that, especially with their coach about that great turnaround.
We
But
got to talk about Seattle.
okay, let's talk about Seattle. Seattle did what Seattle did. I
Yeah.
mean, they've done this before, Coop. If you're an MLR fan, you'll know
Yep.
this. They kind of look a little worrisome in the season, but then man, that playoff run, they are hot, and they got
Yeah.
in. I mean, granted, they finished near the end, they're the bottom just because they lost so many at the beginning. But man, they looked very dangerous coming into the playoffs.
Yeah, I know how long Clark's been there for like 4 years, maybe
Something like that. He's been there
like
for a
that.
while.
I mean, they got three championships.
Two.
They have two. I thought
Yeah,
they got three. I was off. I'm sorry. Sorry.
it's all right.
So they have two championships,
Yeah.
and they won them the first 2 years, right?
Yes. They're the
I thought they
first.
had one after that. No, okay.
Nope. Nope.
Okay. So, the two championships, Starfire, is just a cauldron of just pure loudness. That's
Mhm.
such an amazing place to play. It looks like on
Yep.
that turf, moist. That just suits them perfectly. So I'm
Mhm.
I'm I'm a little bit shocked by that. I thought that they would have done a little bit better this year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what it was that had them be like. They start pretty shaky every season, but this one looked really disturbingly bad. Like they just looked horrible. But
Yeah,
again, the last 5 or 6 games, they just started taking off, and they were 2 points away from beating Utah. It was a very, very close game. And I thought that they would beat Utah, to be honest. So
Yeah, that's a good rivalry right there.
that's a
It's
very
not
good
that far away, not a lot of jet lag. They're used
Mhm.
to it, so
Yeah.
good games.
Yeah, no, Seattle, I feel next season Seattle will still be that team that will be. You mentioned it before. Western Conference is a murderer's row of a conference.
Yeah,
If you look at the points, we have more points, I believe, than the Eastern Conference. Yeah. So if you look at
man.
the points, you look at a team like San Diego and Seattle are 48 and 49. That would have finished them in third place, ahead of Old Glory and all the other teams. So I mean, that just shows you that the Western Conference is the stronger conference.
Yeah, even though
So
we haven't won in the last 2 years.
right, right. Well, New England is New England. For whatever reason, they know how to win. They know how to win.
Were
So
we gonna can we finish the other, conference too, if you don't mind?
sure, 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 sure.
If you're unless you're okay.
No, no, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Dude, Old Glory DC, man.
Sure.
Like, they're that team that constantly like, last year, they won or was it the year before where they beat, New York at New York to
Yeah,
get
they beat
in?
New York at New York. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just that one team that, like, is kind of like, they could come in and just beat anybody at any time, I've noticed that, you know?
Well, I feel Glory loves to be that spoiler, right?
Yeah,
Like they love to beat people at their home, and they love to prove like we are a tough team. We are a
right.
tough team to beat. If you think like we're a pushover team, because no disrespect to Old Glory, but they haven't necessarily gotten too far in the playoffs or gotten, because obviously New England always beats them down pretty
Yeah,
badly. But they're not pushover team. They will
right,
beat you. They will beat you, and they will beat you as hard as they can. And
right.
they are a really good team to watch.
Yeah, NOLA Gold, same team. I mean, they really didn't didn't do much. I mean, they're kind of like one of those bottom teams always that doesn't really.
I
Uh,
feel I feel with Nola there might have to be. I don't know. It's my place to say this, but there
sure.
might have to be a culture change with Nola. I feel.
Yeah.
There might have to be kind of a let's look at ourselves in the mirror and really figure these things out. Because NOLA, with the exception of, I think there was the 1 year COVID year where they were actually like in first, and then COVID just shut everything down, so there wasn't a finish
Oh,
position. So that was it. That was like their highlight, and then they never really bounced back since.
right,
So I just feel it's come to a point where they got to really start looking at themselves now, right? Because
right.
Chicago is a team that, oddly enough, were struggling the first couple of years, but now it looks like they got it. They figured it out. Like they
Yeah,
are a super talented team, and they have the ability to run with New England. And then, as we mentioned, Old Glory is tough to beat. Miami is starting to show that they can do
right.
things. So Nola's got to step up, or they're gonna be fighting with Anthem for last place.
Did you see United States of Rugby, the Chicago Hounds documentary?
No, no, no.
I say it's free on
Right
Roku.
on the Rugby
Roku.
network.
Is
Yeah,
it Rugby? Oh, it's on the Rugby Network. Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like their owner, you know what I mean, and I like
Mhm,
the culture there and,
mhm.
kinda what they're doing, and then, New England, dude, they're just there you pull somebody out, man. I mean, Jason Patras didn't really play that much this year.
Mhm.
I don't know if he played at any, but,
He
I mean, you
he
take
started he started like the first 3 or 4 games, and then
okay.
that's where it fell apart for him,
I
unfortunately.
mean, and then Reese McDonald's leaves, and
Yeah,
then Mitch Wilson leaves, and
yeah,
they plug in, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
their
But
coach leaves,
yeah,
and then it's
and
just
how
like
yet they're
Ryan
still
Martin comes in, and it's just like
yeah,
they have a system there, and it's
yeah,
Quincy,
yeah.
and
It's
it's their
it's
plastic pitch, and they
it's
just know how to do it, and the fans
right.
are phenomenal, dude.
Oh, their fans are so
Yeah,
support. Good lord. I mean,
yeah,
I joke with people because the championship games in Centreville Bank Stadium, I know, granted, that's a new stadium. It's beautiful, but it's in Rhode Island. Rhode Island is not very far from New
yeah.
England. So it's like, you kind of gave New England.
Three-peat, bro.
Right. But when you see how dedicated those fans are, and they
Yeah,
pack that stadium, Veterans Memorial Stadium, it makes logical sense to have the championship game close by, because all those guys are going to come over, and maybe New England makes it, so why not pack that stadium? So
The Jacks Rangers, the Jacks Rangers is a supporters group,
yeah.
and earlier this year they had a 24-hour podcast, dude.
Oh, I don't doubt it. They love it.
Yeah, I sent him $25, dude, because
Oh,
I support everybody.
yeah, you really
Phil
do.
was doing it.
You really
24
do.
hours, dude. Those guys are
Sure,
very dedicated.
sure, and I
Very
think
dedicated.
that's
That's
great.
pretty cool.
I think honestly that just shows you the potential of the growth of the sport, because
Yeah,
it starts with the fans. I mean, obviously you have to have the product, but if
yeah,
nobody's buying it, if nobody's watching it, what's the point?
yeah.
So
And his memes, dude, are freaking hilarious,
yeah,
man.
he's
Have
really
you?
good. They're
I
very
don't know if
creative.
you've seen him on YouTube. On YouTube, oh, spot on, bro. I mean,
Yeah,
and that's what we need, man. That's how we need to grow
yeah,
the league. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
there's so
yeah.
many things in my brain I'm thinking about, just we got more people need to be introduced to it, because the
Sure,
product itself sells itself, and the
sure.
guys sell itself,
Yeah,
and it's inexpensive, and it's
yeah,
fast, and
yeah,
it's quick, and
yeah.
people know how to pass backwards,
Hmm.
and it's the same thing. I always just say to people, like, if I'm sitting down with somebody who's an NFL fan or a college football fan, I'll ask them a question:
Hmm.
could you live without the forward pass? And like your buddy from Cleveland, or like somebody like the ground and pound of the NFL, the Bears,
Sure.
the
Yep. Just run it. Just run
Packers,
it. Hmm.
the Vikings, and then those kind
Steelers.
of, yeah, ground and pound, dude. You like
Yeah.
watching that,
Run it.
Jerome Bettis? You're
Just
gonna
run
get
it.
that all the time. Do
Just
you want
run
to
it.
keep watching that? But
Hmm.
if it's like West Coast, I just like to see bombs all day. Maybe it ain't the right thing, but we do have kicks.
Well, I was gonna say, I don't think there's anything more sweeter than the picture perfect kick pass across the pitch to
Yeah,
the waiting arms. Oh, I think that's even more exciting to watch than a Hail Mary throw,
yeah.
because to be that accurate,
Boot to foot is a lot different from hand to foot.
right? Like,
Yeah,
how you have to be so accurate to do that, you
yeah.
know? I mean, again, I think that is the impressive thing to watch.
Right, and AJ McGinty, he's one of
Uh,
the best at it, dude. He's so
again,
good.
I'm hoping one day, and we're totally going off subject with it, but I love AJ McGinty. I
Yeah, I do
love
too.
AJ McGinty. I hope one day he makes it to Major League Rugby. He has such a great career in Europe. There's probably no reason for him to accept foot to play here in the United States other than to do the Eagle stuff. But
Yeah.
man, it'd be great to see AJ McGinty over here. He is such a phenomenal player.
Yeah, and I hope it's like kinda like the MLS thing, where some
Mm,
of the o other players realize, "Hey, maybe I wanna go over there and check it out and see what it
true.
is," and I think it would sell itself, you know?
To be honest, when I did my interview with Reese McDonald, he said it's kind of is. Like, there's a lot of people, maybe not in Europe per se, but
Yeah.
definitely in Australia, New Zealand, they know of Major League Rugby, and there is a lot of interest for them to come over.
Mhm.
So, who knows? Who knows? I mean, again, we have a lot of potential, and that's what it is here at Major League Rugby. So
So much potential.
so much potential. So let's move on real quick, because we're kind of running out of time. But I wanted to talk about, and again, we don't necessarily have to just focus on RFCLA. I am focusing a lot on RFCLA players, but it is the end of the season. Kind of want to give a mention to players that had a phenomenal season. And the way that I kind of base this on is purely by, without these players, the team's success would not have happened, in my opinion. Whether
Yes.
or not that means that they made the playoffs, or whether or not that just means that they really had a high finish, higher than I feel is warranted, it's because of this player that that's happened. So for RFCLA, it was really, really tough. And Coop, I obviously want your 2 cents on this.
Sure.
But my two players I picked in the end is Christian Lealifano and Billy Meeks, the one and only
Yeah.
Meeks. Christian Lealifano, if you follow stats, and I'm such a stat head, he had 91 points of the season, one of the top point scorers. He has the most points ever scored by an RFCLA player, which isn't saying much because it's only been 2 years, but a phenomenal, nominal player. Without the reliability of his boot, he was like 82% accurate off of the tee, which is great. I feel a lot of our close games wouldn't have happened without him. And then Billy Meeks, my God, I remember, and Coop, you know this. We
Yeah.
watched him play for the Guiltinis. We know how talented he is. I dare say he has gotten so much better since he was a Guiltini. His time in Chicago, coming over here, he has a lot more confidence, a lot more poise and leadership. Like he is directing traffic like a 10 and a number 9. And his little grubber kicks, he is so
Right.
good at getting that ball ahead and into open spots. Again, I feel without Billy Meeks, we wouldn't have had as good a season as we did. So that's where I got with the two.
I I think you're spot on. I want to, first of all, I love Billy's barber.
Yeah.
Pretty solid guy.
Sure.
Those two are good. I saw Christian after the game one time, and I think it was either his lady or his missus, and
Mhm.
I just stopped and I looked at him and I looked at his right boot and I said, "You know how many times I bless your right boot at home? I say the rosary for your foot because I mean his consistency is something we've never had. In
Yes. Yes.
fact, I don't know if we've had that kind of consistency in MLR.
No.
Like,
No. I feel it's one of the best. He's as one of the best accuracies ever.
yeah, and you always when he had the boot and he was kicking, I think he was just spot on. He went a long time without missing any.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and I also told him that I compared like when I think about Christian Lolofano coming over here like 3 years ago, I'd be like, dude, are you kidding me? I was like, bro, you're like the David Beckham coming over here.
Yeah. He really is. He
And his
really
lady
is.
was like, really? I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
like I know who he is, and you know who he is.
Yeah.
Being a
One of the
rugby
top
fan,
point scorers in
obviously.
Super Rugby. I mean,
Oh yeah,
he's
I
played
mean,
for
like,
2 countries in the Rugby World Cup. I mean, how many people can say that? You know?
oh, so phenomenal, dude. He was
Yeah.
so good. And I gotta find out where he got that the RFCLA scrum cap in the end. I don't got to figure out where they make those, dude. I love that. Um,
Sure.
Christian, phenomenal dude in the back, the leadership. Billy, what can you say more about Billy? Billy's dude just takes a pounding, man.
Oh
You remember
God.
when he
He's
busted his eye open and it was bleeding all over the place? I mean, he just
honestly,
had a baby.
yeah.
Congrats on the baby,
And
bro. But he
congrats to
just
him, of
keeps
course.
going and like he doesn't seem to really get hurt.
No, honestly, I think he's broken his nose at least like 4 times this season. You know,
Yeah.
and yet he still plays.
Uh-huh.
He breaks his nose like almost every game, but he still plays. He still comes back and plays. Breaks his nose, goes off, comes back, still plays. It's
Guess where I went this year? I went to go to the Boulevard. Shout out to you, Billy.
shout out to the Boulevard.
I had a coffee there and
Sure, sure.
saw Christian Dyer there. But
Yep.
yeah, I wore my RFCLA gear when I went
Nice.
there. So
Nice.
um per, very, very big. I mean, one other person, dude, and I would
Mm.
say he's the linchpin, dude. And you know who I'm talking about. Gonzalo.
Oh,
I
Gonzalo,
mean, I
yes.
appreciate all these guys.
Sure.
I feel like with Gonzalo, like his experience, the ball, he usually, he did that little hop jump. He's getting boom, just getting it gone. And I will say this about Gonzalo: if you don't know Gonzalo, he is a miserable son of a when they lose, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
He's so miserable. When I see
yeah.
him the first time, I was like, "Oh, bro, it's okay." He's like, you know what I mean?
I'm
After San
surprised that you were
Diego,
able to walk away from that conversation.
yeah, after San Diego, I was standing by the fans and I was cheering him and stuff, and he came over and gave me a hug. And it's kind of
Oh,
weird because, like, the first time we won, I was in Big Bear with the family, so I missed it. But
mhm.
but I watched the game live. Watching him play, dude. I mean, it's an absolute gift.
Yeah, he's
That
good.
we got Peter Sickle. Thank you for making that work because that
Yeah,
man is amazing.
yeah. And I mean, from what I understand, both of them will come back again next season. So again, I
Yeah.
feel we'll have a phenomenal season. Now, I know you have a couple of people you want to talk about. Let me know who it is that you want to talk about. I'll pull them up on the whiteboard. So, what players you want to talk about that had a great season this season in the Major League Rugby?
Um, I wanted to say that Julian Roberts for NOLA. I thought he had a great season, man.
Mhm.
He's this way a little bit more. Get him.
Oop.
Are you able to show him? Okay, there you go. Julian Roberts, man. Not to be confused with Julia Roberts, but Julian Roberts. He's just He played some phenomenal ball and
Mhm.
really like his intensity. He's like a bruiser in a way,
Yeah.
but he's a winger. He's a real stocky kind of winger, and really liked watching him play. I thought he did a phenomenal job.
Mhm.
Um, and really excited for him. I think he's going to have a great successful career in MLR. I thought he was good. Here's Harley Wheeler, same team. Harley Wheeler was ripping on the cornrows at the end. He's kind of like he's like so exciting to watch. He's really into it. You know what I mean? Very enthusiastic on the field, and I just really like watching him play in his the way he just plays. So, and then
Mhm.
Pono Davis from Hawaii. He's a football standover crossover, and really just loved watching him play too. Prop getting in there. I see a good future for him. He got called up to the national team.
Yeah.
So kudos to you, brother. I thought he did a great job too.
And Julian Roberts also got called in the reserve pool. I mean, he is
Right.
honestly, he stood out for me on a team, again, no disrespect to Nola, but on a team that had very few high points in the season. He was
Yeah.
one of the few that really stood out. So I'm happy for him that he made the reserve list, because who knows, if somebody gets hurt, Julian Roberts might be the guy, the next man up. So
Yeah.
he's not too far off from being on that Eagles roster.
Yeah. Totally amazing. Was there anybody else that you were thinking of? Maybe that just kind of popped into your mind that you thought was
Yeah, so another guy, not an RFCLA player, but
yeah.
and he's not wearing the right jersey because I
Oh,
couldn't find his Miami jersey. But Shane O'Leary,
dude, I was about to send you that dude too.
there you go. So
Phenomenal.
Miami making the playoffs. You honestly, Shane O'Leary was the top point scorer of the regular season. You can't say Miami would have made the playoffs without Shane O'Leary. You would talk about Christian
Yes.
Leali'Iguano being very accurate off the tee. I think Shane O'Leary was just a couple percentage points behind. He had a phenomenal year for Miami. Just clutch player. And yeah, I mean, again, I don't think
Good
Miami
call,
would
dude.
make the playoffs. Say again?
Good call on him.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
think Miami would have made the playoffs without Shane. And a player that you picked, and I want to give a kudos to you for picking, because there's been a lot of great rookies, and I feel what's really great about Major League Rugby, obviously, is it's a pathway for American players to really make their mark in the sport of rugby. And we really have been focusing on that collegiate draft. And Payne Wall is a guy that, yeah, you picked him, and I fully support that. Young kid. He kind of had not a phenomenal overall season, but at least the last quarter of the season, he really came into his own. And I know there's the Indiana connection with you, but I
Yeah.
just feel, man, if he stays healthy, stays focused, he's on a good team in Chicago, he's gonna go far. He's gonna have a phenomenal rugby career.
Yeah. Him and Noah Brown in the back, man. That's a formidable Chicago team, you know?
Yeah. And then let's wrap up real quickly talking about coaches.
Yeah.
And I'll let you talk about your coach first. But I feel you picked a really great coach. So why don't you talk about the Miami coach?
Yeah, Jose, I mean, he came in last year, brand new coach,
Mm-hmm.
brand new league, doesn't know the schedule, sure as hell doesn't know the travel times. And yeah, I mean, people just don't realize how far Miami is to Seattle. So,
Sure.
just trying to like coordinate that, being in Miami, getting these players out. I just thought he did a really good job. Foreign coach,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, trying to master the language and
Yep.
master the concepts and just being
Yep.
over here.
Yep.
Kudos to you, brother. I mean, I'm going to say coach of the year is going to go to him, in my opinion.
I think so too, just because again, you see a team like Miami who, new to the league and just not necessarily a team that a lot of people are feeling very high on. And Jose Pelicina is just, hey, we'll do it. We'll do it. And I mean, yep, they did. They made the playoffs. They looked
Yeah.
really good getting in there. And then the guy next to him is Greg Cooper. That's the coach
Yeah.
for Utah. And of course, we mentioned it at the beginning of our podcast. Utah's turnaround for a team that lost so many good players that, like you said, this was supposed to be a rebuild year.
Right.
And they end up becoming the number one seed, looking really, really good. They are a victory away of making it to the MLR championship game. You got to give it to Greg Cooper. I mean,
Right.
he kept it together for the team. So
Yeah. It is a good call. I mean, I would say this though, Utah before a couple of years ago was really good, and then they kind of disappointed, and then this year it's been phenomenal. So yeah, you're right. It's a toss up between those two.
yeah, yeah. But I think Miami might get the nod just because again, it's what they've been doing has been pretty special for a very young team. But if Utah, I think if they win the championship, I think you can't deny Greg Cooper would get it. Just
Absolutely.
because that would be a huge win, especially also too, it might be against New England. That's not going to be an easy game to play.
Yeah.
If Coach Cooper is able to get the win there, I think he should get Coach of the Year. So all right, well we've already reached the hour, brother, and I know you have a lot more that you want to talk about. I know I have a lot more. We could talk literally for hours on this.
Sure.
But I would feel let's cap it, and we can do future episodes in the future. Again, we have, even though Major League Rugby just around the corner is finishing up, the championship game is in a couple of weeks. We still have the summer of rugby. We have the USA playing. We got a bunch of games. We got Belgium. We got Spain. We got the big one in England and DC. And then, of course, we got the Pacific Nations Cup, which is Rugby World Cup qualifications. Like I said, Coop, it's great. Rugby is great for rugby fans because literally it is a year-round sport. There is almost no off season. If Major League Rugby's done, we still have international competition. If international competition takes a pause, sevens can come up.
Autumn series.
If you're into rugby 10s starts to go off. Like I said, sevens can happen. If you like rugby league is going. I mean, literally, I don't think there's a month or a week where there isn't some sort of rugby that you could watch. You know,
I agree.
It's what's so great about this game. So I'm sure Coop and I, when we have the time, we can get back together. We can talk more about what's going on. Maybe we'll recap a couple of the USA Eagles games. Maybe we'll talk about the Pacific Nations Cup. Hopefully, again, very important for us because that's qualification for us for the upcoming 2027 Rugby World Cup. But Coop, man, hey,
good touch, brother.
This was really great. So
I knew it was going to happen, dude. You're the man.
We try. Yes, real quick, I always tell the rugby players that I interview this question, and I feel somebody like yourself who is very passionate about this sport, I feel this question should also apply to you because I think you can give an amazing answer. So obviously, the whole purpose of this YouTube channel, this podcast, is all about spreading the word of rugby to an audience that's not too familiar with it. So you've had this conversation before, but in a nutshell, somebody comes up to you and asks you, hey, what is this rugby? Why is it so great? What is it about this sport that you love? What is your answer?
I would say rugby is a very physical game. It's a very brutal game. It's a game of attrition, but it's also finesse. There's a lot of playing that goes into it. Offense goes against defense and you switch. There's no timeouts. There's no play clock. There's two water breaks in the middle. The game continually flows. The guys are very, very good guys. It's very inexpensive to watch this game. And we're going to watch, you're kind of on the precipice of a sport that the whole world watches and that it's kind of new in America, so it can be kind of fringe and kind of new. And also, it's a very patriotic game, whether you're watching Italy out there just, or the Americans, or they're doing the haka, the sippy towel. Right? This is a game. This is one game as an international that we can all play against each other. But what's better, we're not going to beat each other in the heads like soccer fans. We're going to have a beer. We're going to enjoy each other's companies, and we're going to watch different styles of rugby, whether it's the Fijians or the Tongans or the South Africans in their brute force, different kind of styles, but we all come together to watch rugby. It's a great game.
Yeah, it's a great game. And yeah, you again, reason why I asked you the question, you hit the notes perfectly on that. So
Thanks, man.
again, Coop, I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you very much for joining the podcast. Again, we'll do this another time. We'll hit another hour or so of talking about rugby, the sport that we love. Yeah, brother, I appreciate it, man. You have yourself a
Thanks for
great
having
night.
me.
Thank you for
Yeah.
joining me. And thank you, fans, for watching. As always, thank you very much for giving support to this channel. Appreciate the support, and we'll see you on the pitch.